especially after a 44-day war in 2020. We had very unstable political situation here in Armenia, and obviously the previous elites who ruled Armenia or who had ruled Armenia for 20 years just tried to seize the momentum and to topple the government, and that is why right in the day of reaching the agreement on ceasefire on September 9-10, we had an attack on governmental buildings, a crowd attacked on the government itself, the parliament, the incumbent Minister of Foreign Affairs, who was the then Speaker of the Parliament, was severely beaten, and so on. I think we can speak about this instability till the snap election, parliamentary elections in 2021 in June, and that was not that was kind of settlement of the internal domestic dispute through elections, and fortunately Armenia survived and just passed this test, proving that it is close to the democracy to address this kind of issues through political means, and different attempts organized by the previous elites who were backed by Kremlin, by the way.
Who is that?
Those were the groups of the second and third presidents, and obviously the second president, especially in particular, enjoyed very full support of Kremlin, especially when spokesperson of Putin, Peskov, openly and publicly welcomed his appearance on political scene, his return to politics, saying that he is one of the greatest friends of Russia. And in fact, the second president and his team, along with the third one, who was his successor, Serge Sarkisyan, they organized many attempts to topple the government in Yerevan. However, they failed. And since then, of course, they convened many rallies in spring, summer, and autumn seasons. But again, the number of the people who was supporting them decreased continuously. And yesterday we had, perhaps you recorded that poor picture in the Freedom Square when there was only more than 1,000 people in the square supporting them. This is the situation, but take into account Armenia's moves toward Europe, and especially Armenia's growing relations with the Western countries, we should expect more attacks. Fortunately, those forces are quite weak right now in Armenia, and they can benefit from the situation if something terrible happens on the borders of Armenia, especially when there is a huge risk of that. Azerbaijan doesn't hide its territorial claims, especially when it comes to the Podróż region in the northeast of Armenia and in the south of Armenia, for so-called Zangezur corridors and so-called enclaves issues especially in Podróż region. So if and we have to take into consideration that these attacks are strongly backed not only by Turkey, who is very vocal on that regard when Erdogan openly demanded that corridor from Armenia last September from the floor of United Nations in his address, but also by Russia, who is very interested in punishing Armenia, in demolishing or dismantling Armenian statehood and making Armenia as an oblast, as a region of Russia within so-called new union state. There is a large consensus among Armenian society, not only political forces, but also among Armenian societies, to diversify all foreign and security policies. And it's not a new move. It's not a new, let's say, aspiration or desire, especially after the 4-day war in 2016, when Azerbaijan launched a local attack on Nagorno-Karabakh. After this, Armenian society witnessed first Russian neutrality, which was very bizarre, very strange for Armenian society, as Armenians were believing. And throughout 20 or even 30 years, we were told that, Russia is interested in having Nagorno-Karabakh republic there, having as a non-formal ally and even more, Russia was considered as not only by Armenian society but also by Western experts who were accusing Russia in keeping status quo in the region regarding to that protracted conflict. And Armenian society made a conclusion for itself that if Russia is interested in keeping status quo in the region, then Russia will deter Azerbaijan and Turkey and will not allow any attack aimed at changing the status quo. So that was the calculation. But the 2016 year and this 4-day war, aggression by Azerbaijan, changed this perception, ruined that perception, because Russia kept a neutrality, and Russia also showed that it's a kind of mediator rather than Armenia's ally. And then Armenian government, previous one even, tried to diversify foreign policy, but as they were lacking some domestic internal legitimacy, and they were not enjoying huge public support, they couldn't do that. And they really were very cautious, remaining under the Russian umbrella, just hoping or relying on Russian supply for armaments, although even previous authorities, they were quite acknowledged that after sending the request for the supply, they are not coming to Armenia. This is what happened during the 4-day war, when Russia didn't supply this armament ordered by Armenian side, by official Yerevan. After the revolution, and especially after the 2020 war, this government took this courageous decision to diversify, to engage other partners. And when Brussels, EU, in particular France, Germany, showed some interest to be a mediator in the settlement of Armenia-Azerbaijani conflict, and on the other side of the Atlantic, Washington also showed very high interest in that. Armenia really took very, very serious steps, not only at the level of foreign policy, to invite them and to choose them as partners for the normalization and stabilization of the situation in the region, but also launched some or appeared with many initiatives for its military technical cooperation. And that is why we had very remarkable essential deals with India as a supplier of armaments. We have a France, and now Armenia applied for the EU's peace initiative instrument, and perhaps we will succeed to have more partners in the armament supply, and we are very much looking forward to other European countries. Just a few days ago, Armenian delegation comprised of led by the Prime Minister and comprised of Foreign Minister and Defense Minister visited Munich Security Conference, Munich, having some bilateral and multilateral meetings with different counterparts. And I would like to stress especially the meetings of the Minister of Defense with his German counterpart, Bulgarian counterpart, and other ministers of defense. And I know that the topic is about increasing new allies, the engagement of new allies like European countries in reforming army, in defense policies, and in terms of military technical cooperation as well.